Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yes, in the future you can join with me. Sorry I didn't make that clear. We recite this 3 times. So here's the question for you. I'm going to give you a few minutes to think about it. I'm going to type it in. What is the best result you got from knowing your limitations? What is the best result you got from knowing your limitations? Sometimes there's questions that are, you want to answer me personally, or to everyone. To answer me personally, you just make sure you click on my name, participant, so you can choose from the chats there who to send it to. So take a minute or two, think about this. I like to see the chat filled up with your answers. I'm going to put some music on. Okay, thank you. Some peace of mind, procrastination, a sense of ease and acceptance, looking at places in my life I need to work on accepting. Yeah. A lot of it has to do with acceptance, some peace, acceptance. That's great. And so this trend here, knowing our limitations, it's going to be a team. Sorry, my French and my English is not very good. It's going to be the thread of Fri Feb. And also 2 things: knowing our own limitations, and knowing that this does not apply to Krishna. These 2 things: knowing that our own limitations does not apply to the Creator, to Krishna. So that's going to be the thread of our study throughout these 10 weeks. We're going to repeat that often. So I'm going to do a little bit of orientation first. I'm going to share my screen, and actually the rest of the class I'm going to share my screen. So here, I want to share some resources that we have. It's a resource page. If you're familiar with this page, this is where you got your Zoom link. So you go down, you scroll all the way down, and there are the books that we're studying. So for Isopanisad, you click on it, and it's loading there. click on it and it gives you the resource page. So if you click again on the image here, you can read the book online. You can also listen to the audiobook. The songs that I played, these are all like songs of the Isopanisad. The first one I played is up here. Then the second one is there. This one is a little bit more upbeat. And then this one is, you have the whole Sanskrit in the English. So if you ever want to recite the mantras yourself, it's there. The classes that we recommend to study are there, nicely put there. And this is a PowerPoint presentation here, which we're going to go through, and we're going to use this. And then the contents of the class is your, like, what are the mantras we're going to look at right there. So that's a resource. There's something similar for Bhagavad Gita. We haven't published Nectar of Devotion, but I still have 10 weeks to publish what's there, because we're going to see that afterwards. Also, I want to show one more thing. We can go on YouTube. The Sharanagati page, I think you're all familiar with that, hopefully, but you go to Sharanagati Temple channel, and we have all the recordings of this class here. I'm just going to show it. Sharanagati Temple channel. And so there's a few Sharanagatis there, but it's the temple one we want. And here we're going to put all the recordings of the classes that are here. You should from last week there. All the recordings of the classes are going to be there for those who are not able to attend. Tuesdays and the Friday classes are going to be there. And also for this week, there's going to be alternatively, we're going to have two hosts, two speakers, myself, Damodar Gopal Das, and Brihat. Brihat, you want to speak a little bit so you appear on the screen?
Sorry, I was on mute there. Yes.
So there's Brihat. He's going to be facilitating next week.
Yeah, we are going to go back and forth in terms of who's speaking each week on the Isopanisad. So thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Thank you for being part, Brihat. Brihat's a good friend. I'm happy to work with him on this. Okay, let's dive into a little PowerPoint here. Here is, there's an overview of the text. Can you folks hear my kids in the background? Okay, fine. I heard them. Okay, just making sure. Okay. Text overview, yes, okay. Just to start with. So what is Isopanisad? Why we study it? Simple thing, it's Isopanisad is a philosophical text from India. And why are we interested in philosophy? Well, philosophy, the purpose of philosophy is to give us purpose. So that's why we study these books. There's books that are more application, and there's books that are more like talking about the ultimate goal. There's a little bit of that in every scripture, but a lot of it is theory in philosophy. There's an example. I'm going to throw some Sanskrit words out there. You don't need to memorize them. But every scripture can be studied from 3 different perspectives. Is Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. Sambandha means it's like a map. I give you a map. You know where everything's situated. You can situate yourself. So that's Sambandha. That's like philosophy. You know, why the world is created, who we are, who's God. All that Sambandha. It's actually understanding the relationship between the things, like a map. And then Abhideya is the trajectory, where we're going. And Prayojana is the goal. So there's sometimes some verses that talk more about the goal, the ultimate goal, where we want to be, the goal of all of this. What's perfection like? So, you know, that's the destination, you know, like you hear about you hear about a beautiful place, and it has nice water, and has mangoes, fresh mangoes growing on the trees. You hear about the destination, you want to go there. So same thing in spiritual life, we hear about destinations of perfection, like what are levels of perfection. So that's prayojana, the goal. And then abideya, they give you how to get there. So we can analyze all the texts like that. So I would say a lot of Upanishad, there's a lot of philosophy, but there's a mix of all of them. So that's why you study these texts. To know who we are, where we're at, where we want to go, and how to get there. Okay, so I did a quick overview of the text. That's from myself, just from quickly looking at the text. Introduction, invocation. So there's 18 mantras. So the introduction, the invocation, mantra 1, 2, and 3, they talk about the arrangements made by the creator. I decided to use that term, the creator, because I just felt like it. No, because also mantra, the invocation talks about the Lord creating everything. So the arrangements, what the arrangements is there, and where do we fit in? And mantras 4 to 8, they talk about the nature of the creator and of us, our nature. Then mantra 9 and 11, they talk about the results of cultivating knowledge, or the contrary of that, ignorance, because ignorance is cultivated. And that actually, mantras 12 to 14 is actually a repeat of 9 to 11. If you look at the Sanskrit, they repeat each other pretty much verbatim, except there's 2 words that are changed. Instead of talking about knowledge and ignorance, they talk about the supreme and what is not supreme. So the results of worshiping the supreme or not, or the results of worshiping that which is not supreme. And then the mantras 15 to 18, it ends with a prayer. See, the mood changes a little bit. Before it's all philosophical and explaining things. Then it ends saying, oh, my Lord, oh, the creator, please remove your dazzling effulgences. There's like a personal prayer there. And the prayers are asking actually to see the creator face to face. Now, if you sum it up, that's what these prayers are saying. It talks about the hindrances also they're in seeing them. So that is the content of the text, which we'll quickly go through in 10 weeks. First of all, any questions on that? No questions? Let me see in the chat. Can I see the chat? Okay. If you have any questions,
maybe,
you can raise your hand or put them in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay. How are we doing on time? Okay, we're doing pretty good. So
I have a question, Damodar.
yes, loud, please.
You said ignorance is also cultivated. Can you speak more about that?
Well, if you
said we cultivate knowledge, but ignorance is
Yeah.
also cultivated.
Well, ultimately, we're all cultivating something by the activities that we do. And like some people invest a lot, like for example, in their body, they invest a lot in knowledge that is mundane. So they cultivate all these things which doesn't serve the purpose of elevating them. So in that sense, I mean, it's not, ignorance seems just like you do nothing, but no, ignorance can be very active. You do the wrong thing. Some people can work and unintelligent persons are very active, can do a lot of harm. So that's the point of it can be cultivated, you know. They spread the ignorance. I mean, just look, there's so many hate movements out there. There's so many movements that are based upon the body. They're based upon feeling better than another group and trying to put others down. All this, they're cultivating that. They're coming together and they're discussing, just as we're trying to elevate ourselves with this knowledge, we're coming together and discussing. There's people that come together and they have these meetings and they meet together to figure out how they can have more control over people, or how they can exploit something. Maybe they don't necessarily use these terms, but it's pretty much the essence of what they're trying to do. So yeah, they cultivate it, you know, they cultivate their attachments to this world. So in that way, ignorance can be cultivated.
Okay.
I hope that
Okay, thank you.
answers your question.
It does. Thank you.
Yeah. Can somebody volunteer to read the invocation? So the invocation here is in the blue on my screen right now. It's here, the personality of Godhead. Any volunteer? Also, I'll volunteer someone.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes.
The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete, and because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. Because he is complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance.
Anybody wants to volunteer to say this in their own words? What are the mind points being said here in the translation of the invocation? So, Snedeep, that's how you say, Snedeep? How you pronounce your name?
Yes.
Snedeep, do you wanna volunteer to summarize this in your own words?
Sure, I can try.
Awesome.
As we know that the Godhead is like, we have no words for him, and he's perfect in his sense. And all the creation he did, it's his all, it's not imaginary, it's real. And this is the whole complete world to me. Yeah, that's it, Prabhu.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you, Sandeep. So God is perfect and complete, and everything he does is perfect and complete. Everything that comes out of him is perfect and complete. But still, and that's the amazing thing, still, he does not lose anything in the process of doing that. He remains a complete balance. You know, if you think in mathematical terms, if you take something out of something, suppose you have 10, and then, okay, you have 10 apples, then you give 5 apples to somebody, then you give 7 apples to somebody, you're left with 3 apples. You know? But the inconceivable potency, and that's why I'm saying Krishna doesn't have the same limitations as us, is that he can give his 10 apples, but he'll still have 10 apples. So that's the inconceivable nature. So the same thing we have to understand is that Krishna uses his potency to create this world. But by doing that, he does not lose anything himself. And this world that he creates is perfect. So if you look at the essence of these two verses, and we're going to see the next verse later on, but if we look at the essence of these two words, it says that everything is perfect and complete, and we just have to find our place in that. We just have to be in harmony with that. Now, that's the essence of these two verses. This is the arrangement of the Lord. We have to be confident that everything is perfect and complete. And the only thing that's not perfect and complete, well, it has the potential to be, but something comes in the way. It's us who are not working in cooperation with that. It's not perfect and complete, but we can perfect ourselves and become complete ourselves if we, not complete in the same sense as Krishna, but complete in our own right by being in relationship with the Supreme. And this is the points out here. So the main points here is that the Supreme Personal Godhead is, I'm reading here the text in the PowerPoint on the right. The Supreme Personal Godhead is the complete realization of transcendence, the three features. I'm going to explain that in an instance. The potencies of the Supreme Personal Godhead are also complete in the Jivas, souls, this is us, the limited souls, us, are complete in relationship with the Supreme Person. So we're going to look at this and we're going to look at analogies to explain each of these points. So the first one, the three features of the absolute truth and progressive order from lowest to the highest. It's
normally I know how to do that, but
Thank you.
I'm muting you. Sorry. Okay. From lowest to the highest, the first one is the impersonal aspect of God. Understanding that God is everywhere, is all pervasive. That's the first understanding in spiritual life. The second one is that he's also localized in everyone's heart, and he's guiding everyone. And the third one is that he has his own existence beyond this, and he's a person in his own right. And actually, that person is the source of everything else. And there's a nice example that illustrates this understanding of this progressive realization and transcendence. It's just like a mountain. And every day I go to work and I come back and I have this analogies that I can see the mountains where I live. We live in a valley here, our village is in the valley. And I can see the valley from far away, and I recognize the mountains, but it's kind of blurry. It's there on the landscape. It just looks like one big body of something, And as I approach, so that is the impersonal understanding of Krishna, of God. We know he's everywhere, but it's impersonal. It's like one big blur. And actually understanding that, it's a great realization. But as we approach, and as I come closer to the mountain, I start to see the trees that are there. Some mountains have coniferous trees, some have evergreens, and some have different type of vegetation on it. As I approach the mountain, there's more details of it. I can see what's locally there. So similarly, God is in our heart and he's guiding us. And he's located in everyone's heart. So that's a higher understanding also. Not only is he pervaded everywhere, but also everyone has a personal relationship with him. But then when I get here, not only do I see the trees, I see the vegetation, I see the trees that have fallen, I see the roads, I see the houses, I see all the life that's there. When I'm close to the mountain, when I'm in the mountain, I see everything that's there. So similarly, the highest understanding of spiritual life is that life, the spiritual world is not this oneness. Although everybody's living in harmony and everything's in harmony, there's variegate in this. There's positive engagement, and that there's relationships, and that there's and that relationship, the prime relationship is with Krishna, who's his own person, who, though he's the source of everything, he enjoys loving relationships, and we can develop a loving relationship to not just God in our heart that's trying to guide us in our life, but he has his own right. He's his own person. He has his own taste. He's an individual like me. So that's the highest understanding of the absolute truth. And actually, if you think about it, because when we talk about some terms that we use, some is the absolute truth. The absolute truth means that from which everything emanates, and that which is throughout creation, maintenance, and destruction of this universe. It's always there. It was there before, it's there now, and it's there after. So that's the absolute truth. But if you think about the absolute truth just from the aspect of being the creator who creates this world, how can we, who are created, have something more than our source, the absolute truth? Yeah? Like we are the effect and he's the cause. So how can we, the effect, have something more than the cause? Huh? So like that, Krishna has everything that we have, even more. Just as we have individuality, we have consciousness. He has all of those, but to a much better degree. Just us in our limited senses, we have these, but he has this to its perfection. And also, if you say that God cannot have a form, you're limiting him. If you say that God is a person, you're putting a limit on him. God can be all of these things. He can be impersonal, he can be localized, and he can be his own person at the same time. He can be everywhere and be his own person at the same time. Your limitations does not apply to him. So that's the understanding, ultimately. God's a person. That's a complete realization. But, I tell you frankly, even as a devotee, it took me some time to understand that. That requires actually some study of this, seriously, of the scriptures, to really understand what is this idea. And actually, this Isopanisad will give philosophical basis for this understanding, but our whole process of Bhakti is to deepen that understanding more and more, becoming more and more personalized to God. And actually, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu brings that to a whole other level of understanding God in his personality. We go in those details. Understanding when it says, the supreme personality of Godhead is a person. It's like you and I. I'm getting to know, like I'm discussing a lot. For example, Mike, we had sanghas together. I'm getting to know him. I'm getting to know his personality. By spending time together. So that's the goal ultimately. And the nectar of devotion goes into those details. You'll see. We'll speak about that when we're there. But that's the complete realization. Okay, understanding the potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A nice example. I'm going to the next point. A nice example is given. Again, this idea that although he's in one place, his potencies are everywhere. It's like a fire. Huh? A fire is in one place, but by heat and by light, it's everywhere. We can say that, yes, what is fire without heat and light? Heat and light, it's part of being fire. But at the same time, fire is in one place. So all the energies of God are not exactly God, but they are God, but still God is in one place as one person, from which everything emanates. No? Just as the sun distributes its heat and light, God by his potencies, God, like this is this understanding. We have to understand that Krishna, God is God because of his potencies. And what's my point here? yeah, it's understanding him is also understanding his potencies and how they act. That's the point. Just as we cannot understand fire without understanding heat and light, we can't understand really God without understanding his potency and actually understanding the fact that he's fully potent. Right? Because he's fully potent, all of these things are possible. And that's also one thing we have to understand. When we read our scriptures, one of our previous acharyas, Jiva Goswami, says, whenever we hear about Krishna or hear about the pastimes or hear about the scriptures, we always have to take one thing in consideration. We always have to keep this in the back of our mind, that God, Krishna, has inconceivable energies and potencies. The Sanskrit for that is a Chinta Shakti. However, like the materialists, the scientists, they're trying to control everything, but they'll never fully understand to the potencies. There's always something hidden. Whatever they understand is a very limited aspect of the world we live in, and we will never fully understand that. But we just have to understand one thing that's inconceivable: exactly how God does everything. We have some scientific discovery. We're all super fascinated. We'll never fully understand. That's one thing I have to understand about Krishna's potencies, is that they're inconceivable. But we can understand them in essence. We can have an understanding of this, but not to the point, because if we understood all of the potencies of God, we could be God ourselves. But that will never happen because we always have to know our limitations. And our limitation is that we'll never fully understand Krishna completely. That's not the point. The point is not fully to understand. We want to understand him in essence, but we're not in competition with God. We're to understand him to better serve him. That is our goal of our knowledge, is to better serve Krishna. Every knowledge that we develop about him, it should simply give us more impetus to serve him. And actually knowing God is just an act of love. Knowing Krishna is an act of love. Just like, if I get to know Brihat more, what he likes to eat, what's his favorite type of cake, it's because I want to cook that for his birthday. You can write in the chat what's your favorite type of cake. Yeah. And so that's actually the point of knowing the potency of the Supreme Godhead. And now I'm going to the next point here, is the Jiva souls are complete in relationship to the Supreme Person. We are part and partial of Krishna. And our perfection is in serving him. Just as the hand, another analogy, just as the hand is part of the body. So is the hand happy just eating food by itself? I'll do it with my right hand here. No, the hand has to take the food and serve the body, putting it in the mouth. By serving the body, by putting it in the mouth, the whole body becomes satisfied and the hand becomes satisfied. And the hand becomes complete in its function, by serving the body. So same thing, we become complete when we fit perfectly in that part. And that's what we're trying to do. Again, our knowledge is to help us better serve God and become a better instrument of Krishna and work in that relationship. So that was my point there. Any questions and comments, please? I'd like to hear your comments also on this before I go to the next text. Was it anything not clear, or was there anything you would like to elaborate on, or anything that touched you that you like? Brihat, you want to add something?
There's one. Can you hear me?
Yes.
There's one sentence in that in the purport to the verse
I know which one. Say it.
Yeah, it's just it's the other aspect of this, that it says that so everything is complete, but we feel incomplete. So it says there that all feelings of incompleteness, the reason, the cause of that is due to incomplete knowledge of the complete whole. So when we don't understand the completeness, how everything works together, when we don't understand the purpose of behind everything, how it works, then we feel incomplete. We may do something that makes us feel incomplete. We may act in ways that get results that make us feel incomplete. So yeah, anyway, that one sentence, that any feeling of incompleteness, because that's definitely there. Like, for instance, a good one is like people don't feel complete in let's say modern day religion's understanding of God, or describing who God is. Many people don't feel complete with that description of God. They feel like it's incomplete, and so they may go here or there or to different things. So what it says there is that feeling of incompleteness is due to incomplete knowledge. And so this is what Sri Isopanisad is giving complete knowledge of the complete whole, complete knowledge of the absolute truth.
Well, thank you, Brihat. I was feeling incomplete in my presentation, and now you just completed it. Thank you. Brandon, I'd like to hear your voice. Can you read the next mantra? If you're up to it. Brandon, would you like to read the next mantra? Okay. Jade?
Everything animated or inanimated that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which is set aside as his quota, and one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong.
Anybody wants to try to summarize? You're welcome, Jade, to say this in your own words.
I think what it's saying is that Krishna is a proprietor of all things, and that we should accept what he gives us and be grateful and know that it's not for us to cultivate everything for like our sense gratifications. It's to like please and the Lord.
Exactly. Nice. Thank you. So at this point, that everything is perfect and complete, and we just have to live in harmony with that. We just have to find our place in it. So this is what this verse is talking about. And the next verse is going to talk about how we will be happy doing that, and what are the consequences of not doing that. But the point is, there is an arrangement for us, and we just have to be happy with it, be satisfied with it. And actually, we see now in the world, like this over-consumer society is creating so much trouble, because we're going beyond our quota. And so again, I repeat, everything is perfect and complete, and we just have to live in harmony with it. We're not in competition with this world. One who has a materialistic vision of the world is that he tries to fix everything to suit, like he sees the world as imperfect and chaotic, and that he has to make it perfect. The scientists have like this tendency, this desire to make everything perfect, but they don't have a perfect understanding of the world or a complete plan. And that's actually what we're going to discuss in the verses to come, is that there is a complete plan, and we have to understand that. Yes, you have your hand raised, Balakrishna. Okay,
I think maybe his sound is not on.
he's muted. At the bottom left, there is a microphone with a bar on it. You have to press that microphone with the bar on it. And here, I'm going to ask you to unmute. Something should pop up for you to press. Okay. Balakrishna, I'll proceed, and when you're unmuted, you could ask your question, okay? So yeah, understanding the complete plan of the Lord, well, that comes from receiving knowledge. And the Vedic knowledge is there to give us that knowledge. Like one way to see the Vedas, it's
Can
like
you
a
hear me
manual.
now?
Yes, perfect.
Oh, sorry to interrupt. It takes
No
a while
problem.
to get a handle on this technology. Okay, I was just giving I wanted to give a reference to something Srila Prabhupada said a number of times. There's enough for everyone's need, but not enough for everyone's greed.
Thank you.
Right? And that originally came from Mahatma Gandhi, but Prabhupada said it a few times too. And it's
And this idea that one should,
irrelevant.
like one should not accept other things is the greed. When you start over accumulating, that's just a greed, you know,
Right.
knowing well to whom they belong. So thank you for sharing that. So yes, so having complete knowledge comes from the Vedas. In the Vedas, it's like, we can say a manual for the whole, for the whole universe. Like God created the world and he gave a manual with it. Just like I buy, you know, I never read it, but you know, I buy a computer, I get a manual that comes with it. You know, if I really want to know how it worked and everything, I can look at the manual. So the Vedas is like this. So it's transcendental, it existed before creation and keeps to exist. The Vedic knowledge, this knowledge coming from Krishna. But we're interested here, because there's all types of knowledge. We're interested specifically in the spiritual knowledge available through the Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam. It kind of condenses the spiritual aspects of the Vedas, because there's all types of knowledge in the Vedas. There's even knowing how to enjoy in this material world is there in the Vedas. And Krishna actually warns that in the Bhagavad Gita, to not be enamored by the flowery words of the Vedas in some aspects of it. But we're focusing on the spiritual knowledge of the Vedas. So often when we say Vedic knowledge, we're actually referring to the transcendental knowledge available in the Vedas. And that's what we focus on through these texts, like the Isopanisad, the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Nectar of Devotion. Well, this is distilling the essence of the spiritual knowledge, because we have a transcendental purpose. And it comes through the civic succession. I have nice images here, I'd like to show. You know, this idea that the words come from Krishna, the saints, the great saints, and also Lord Chaitanya, and they pass down. And we receive it through Prabhupada, who translated these books. Another nice one here is that whatever Krishna is speaking in the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada is simply repeating it. He's not concocting anything, he's just repeating. That's what the parampara system is, the disciplic succession. It's just repeating what's being said. And here, there's a nice one here, summarizes everything, is that, you know, ultimately everything comes from Krishna. And our line actually comes from Lord Brahma. You know, where do we get this idea of Krishna? It comes from Brahma. And he describes his realizations of seeing Brahma as the first created being. And our lineage comes from him. And he has this vision from the Brahma Samhita. He describes everything so nicely. Also in the Bhagavatam, he's a prominent personality there who describes what he sees in the spiritual world. And Krishna instructs him. And actually, after Krishna instructing Brahma, he shakes his hand and says, "Now spread this." You know, he's pleased with him. Now spread it. Bring on to the next person. His son Narada. Like that, passes on like this. Vyasadeva also. He's not year, but he compiled everything we're reading. It's a compilation of his writing coming from this lineage, and then passed down through the sages, the civic succession. We accept it in a humble attitude. So that's the civic succession, and it's freed from the 4 defects. The scriptures themselves, and as far as we preserve that. So this idea, the 4 defects, is our limited senses. First defect. Only so much we can see with our eyes, only so much we can hear with our ears, with our nose. So only so much we can taste with our mouth. So we're limited by our senses. First defect. How can we get complete knowledge from a limited instrument? The second one is that we have a propensity to cheat. We're just trying to find shortcuts, and we like to pose ourselves as very important and stuff like that, and give big lectures on things. But we always have the propensity to cheat. So how can we give perfect knowledge? Third one is we're an illusion. We sometimes just make mistakes of being illusioned. We mistake one thing for another. And the fourth one, Brihat, help me with that one. I forgot to revise this. What's the 4th defect? Propensity to cheat, illusion. I haven't written down somewhere. See? Commit mistakes. That's the last one. Isn't that appropriate? I just commit mistakes there. Yeah, we commit mistakes. Illusion also is like, the idea of illusion is like, we think we're this body. Just that's the biggest illusion. Like, we don't have, just the fact that we're covered, we're in this virtual existence, and we don't have full realization of our actual spiritual existence. How can we give perfect knowledge of the spiritual existence and our own limited capacity being materially covered? Identifying with the body. Yeah, Aaron Buza, you have a question? Your mic is on. Okay. So the Supreme Person of God is the perfect, complete person and the Supreme Proprietor. Okay, we already discussed about that. Complete person. He owns everything. He needs everything. Oh, and a nice example of this is the word Bhagavan, the definition of Bhagavan. One who possesses all opulences. Krishna is six opulences. He's the richest, the smartest, the strongest, the most popular. Everybody has heard about God, or the Bhagavad Gita, hopefully. Is the most renounced and is the most beautiful. Krishna has all of these. But let's focus on being the proprietor, and he owns everything. Like, for example, we have intellectual property. People pay huge money to share that intellectual property, or to, it's mine, or even like the land, like the Queen of England, she still makes money because she owns so much land. And now that we've put a price on land, so people will make so much money out of this because they're rich if they have land. And Prabhupada said, if you have land and cows, you're rich. That's all you need. But where does all this land come from? Who put it there in the first place? We're just temporarily here thinking it's ours. All this is Krishna's. He's the one who put it there first. We make big inventions, but what the materials are we using? Where are they coming from? From Krishna. So just recognizing that he's ultimate proprietor. And then everything is his intellectual property. Everything is his physical property. And when we recognize this, then we can be in peace. Also, this whole idea that, I have to maintain everything. I have to, it kind of takes off our responsibility. If we really believe that to the core, that Krishna is the proprietor of everything, then then it kind of relieves a lot of stress. You know, knowing your own limitations, it gives us peace of mind. And actually, this is from a verse of the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna speaks about how to be shanti, how to be in peace. And I'll finish with this. How to have some shanti in this world. Shanti means peace. And this is understanding Krishna as three things. Krishna as the supreme enjoyer. Krishna as the supreme friend. And Krishna as the supreme proprietor. The supreme enjoyer, everything is ultimately meant for his enjoyment. Actually, if you just try to enjoy everything, you'll never be satisfied. Neither can you fully. Like, there's only so much ice cream I can eat. Oh, only so much food I can. I'm sure, Mike, I'm looking forward to eat your cooking. But there's only so much I can eat. Huh? How many of those kale burgers can I eat? Huh? But God can enjoy everything. Huh? But let us be satisfied that he can enjoy everything. At least somebody can enjoy everything. We can. And actually, we'll be satisfied if we understand that. And actually, we're meant for his enjoyment. That everything's meant for his enjoyment. And he's the supreme friend who will take care of us. You know? And he's the supreme proprietor. Everything ultimately belongs to him. So if we just do these things in understanding our quota, then we'll be happy. Actually, this is a huge subject. Just understanding our own limitation. It's a huge subject. People have all types of seminars on it, rest of the classes, just understanding our quota. And actually, there's many verses in Bhagavad Gita that talks about that. So that's it. That's the end of the class. And actually, the next class, the next verse, is going to discuss about the results of really understanding that, really understanding this idea of living to our quota and living that like that. Any points or comments on this? Okay, awesome. So I think you have like questions. Vishwadika, are you still there? I'm gonna stop sharing this. So they have homework to do or something?
There is homework. There is homework in the outline that everyone has received. And part of the homework, there's a couple of simple fill in the blank questions. And then I'm asking everyone to share something that you said or something that they heard in the class that struck them very deeply, either really resonated with them or challenged, their conceptions that they may have had before.
Yes, and please do these homework. Yeah. Please do these homework because
everyone will do the homework and send it in. This is actually a very good way of communicating. Several of the students from Tuesday sent in homework and their realizations from what they read. And I was able to write back and have a little exchange on that basis.
Awesome.
So I really encourage everybody to do that homework.
Exactly. Because it's a way for us to interact with you. You know, I like when our classes are interactive, but I speak a lot here. So these questions, these homeworks is a way for us to get to know you and hear from you as well. So thank you for.
Someone may not want to speak up during the class.
Yeah.
Some people don't like that, but this is an opportunity for everyone to speak their mind. What did I get out of this? Or what didn't I get out of this? What I don't agree with, why I don't agree with this. You know, we should be able to honestly discuss and bring up all these things.
So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. I'll just officially end the class with
Thank you,
Krishna
Bernadette.
mantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna,
Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Ram Ram.
Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Ram.
Thank you very much for your time. Looking forward to seeing you next week.
Thank
And
you.
I'm looking forward to hearing from Brihat. Very well.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Have a good evening.
Thanks,
Night.
everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mike.
Hare Krishna.